According to Mother Teresa, love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and the action is service. I was raised in the system, whether school or college, where all men were there. Very few women either went to school even. My mom and dad believed in education. My mom said, education is something you have for a lifetime. The more you share, the more it grows. Education to me is child-centered, family-oriented, and community-based. That means each and every one of us contributes it to in the same way. I think education is dear to everybody's heart, and especially when children and students do very well. We believe in education, and education is very important. Our children are the most important. They are our future, and we should take them to always to higher horizons. If each one of us holds the hand of another younger person, I think this world can do wonders. My motto is unity in diversity. So we need to learn to respect human beings. Diversity, tolerance, and inclusion are important to live in harmony. It does not make any difference what party, what ethnic group, what cultural group, what religious group we belong to. We all have to say that every citizen of United States has the equal rights. It's not only women but men, that we believe in equality. They say a nation progresses if they respect their womanhood. And men are important, but women especially, young women really touch my heart when I see them doing well. Let's not forget, if women were not there, our moms were not there, we won't be here. We have a lot of opportunities now, but we have still a long way to go. These young people and the coming generation hopefully will believe in love, tolerance, peace, and all those things. So I urge everybody to work together both women and men, that we need diversity, we need unity, and we need the equality. So if we look at each one of us and learn one thing from each one of us, I think we will be a beautiful world around. Many County has been home to us for the last 55 plus years. And I always believe that one person can change maybe one thing, but all of us can change everything in positive way if we unite and work together. Sarasota humanity has been dear to my heart because I was showing someone that in 1984 we became the first couple from Sarasota humanity to be on the President Council for scholarships. And then I and my daughter Anila Jain, we joined the Women in Leadership and Philanthropy. We meet friends from the past and from the present and the future. And all this is for our children to get education. You plant a seed, you water it, it becomes a seedling, and then a plant, and then a tree, an evergreen tree. So I'm comparing our campus, or rather our region, to the evergreen tree. USF Sarasota Humanity is the hometown university. I think it's very, very well known, not only for local level, for state, national, but for international. Like the saying is, a small group of people can accomplish something, but as the group grows larger and larger, we can accomplish larger and better things also. Always the grass looks greener. I don't mean all universities, wherever you get education, are important. But I feel when you have something in your hometown also, which is first class in the top universities, why not try it? The wonderful thing is those children, those students who do not have the means, the financial means, can stay at home if they want to. They can attend classes and so on. So see what a wonderful opportunity there is. When your hometown recognizes you, it has a special meaning. We say education is a journey, not a destination. And I hope that our students will be in the top citizens of this world and our country. My husband Kailash Jain, I could not have done anything without his support. He has always been there, and he not only believes in people, he believes especially in women. My daughter always said when she was growing up that my mom spends quality time with me, not the quantity hours. Dinner time has always been, and even today, our family time where we talk about the day's work. Now, people talk about, sometimes ask me, what legacy I would like to leave. And mine would be say, remember me, and say, this is the saga of an immigrant woman who believed in lifelong learning. And sharing it with younger generations. Future generations will do well, make us proud, and they will fill this world with love, tolerance, and peace. and I am looking to that future also. I believe in passing on the baton to next generation while I am living. Once I'm gone, who cares?
Thank you, Dr. Jain.
Good afternoon. Mom would have been honored and humbled by all the love of her family and friends today that are here, many having traveled from all over the United States to celebrate her life. The number of people who are here today and the countless notes, cards, and emails I received is a testimony to the lives she personally touched throughout the 6 decades that we lived in the Sarasota-Manatee area. This is one of the hardest things I've had to do. Never thought I'd have to do it so soon after I did this for Daddy. We had taken half of his ashes to India last year, and that's the ceremony she wanted to have more than anything else in this world. To the Ganges River, 4 days later, she passed away peacefully. I truly believe that this was her plan with God. She started her life with him, and she ended it the way she wanted. They met when she was 17 years old, the first day of college, and my dad said he saw her across the room at orientation. I always teased him and said, "Dad, you were there to study, not look at girls." She had just come from boarding school in the mountains of India in Shimla. She probably weighed 95 pounds soaking wet, rosy cheeks, and the next day they were in the same classroom, and he said, "I know everything will be fine now." My parents had the most amazing relationship. I know that they did because I witnessed this with my own eyes. It lasted just shy of 65 years. He was truly the love of her life, and I am grateful to be the product of that loving relationship. For the past couple of weeks, I just kept thinking, are there any words to describe my mom? My mom taught me so much. I learned what it means to be a strong, independent, confident woman. And she always said, do everything you do with courage and make sure you do it to the best of your ability. From her, I learned how to work hard so I can stand on my own and create the life I want for myself. A life I am so proud of. She was truly a role model, trailblazer, and a remarkable and accomplished woman who was years ahead of her time. She exhibited a strong will and a powerful, determined nature. Education was always a priority for her. And it seems unthinkable that all those years ago in the early 60s, she was a professor and teacher of chemistry, physics, biology, and she was selected to be the only Fulbright scholar that year from India. She was a very serious student who went to get 4 more degrees after coming to the United States. She had 2 in India, first one that she received at the age of 18. She was a perfect 4.0 student, so I had to follow in her footsteps. Was not easy. A story I always told her was, Mom, if I study 4 hours and I get a 96 or 7, somebody studies 8 hours and gets a 99 or 100, it's still an A. But I had time for Kappa Delta, fraternity sweetheart, ambassadors at USF, and a multitude of other activities. She would look at me and she said, you know, you're not a serious student. You're just like your father. You like to have fun. So I did the best of both worlds. My parents had a profound influence on my life. They had a strong work ethic, and a trait would be one of the several foundation of success that they instilled in me over the years. Work hard and do what you love and have a passion for. Always do the absolute best you can with integrity and focus. Look to serve something greater than yourself. Always reach a little higher and farther than you think you're capable, and you will attain it. There's nothing you can't do if you put your mind and your heart into. You're not the one doing things. There is a stronger force with you. Keep your faith strong always. I was a product of 2 different religions, and people would ask, which one will you be following? I said, I'm going to get the best of both worlds. My father was a Jain, my mother was a Sikh. Back then, it was just not done to get married. And 65 years ago, so they eloped. And a lot of people came to my grandfather. He was a president to the President House in the Gandhi family. He's with a personal physician. And they said, you know what your son did? Now, who's going to marry our daughters from the Jain religion? My grandfather said, well, that's your problem. My daughter-in-law is educated. My son loves her. And they accepted it, especially when I came along a year and a half later as the oldest grandchild. As an only child, I was given countless opportunities to experience cultures from all over the world. Their love for travel and venture took us to almost 105 countries. And they loved cruising, starting when I was 5. My first transatlantic cruise was in 1966. And as Bill says, they created a monster that I am having to put up with. Those profound memories and summers spent with my grandfathers and family in India show the close-knit bonds that were important to my parents and I. I was always told to never forget your culture and your heritage, and you should know the language, and you should never forget that, no matter where you live or how accomplished you are. Family values were the closeness we shared, as well as life's experiences and relationships. Mom received numerous awards, accolades, and honors at the local, state, and national level. As my dad and I always reminded her, it was the ones from USF were the most important. We didn't care about the other 5 universities. and they were the most meaningful and special due to our family's passion for our university, the University of South Florida. Mom always asked me to read whenever she received an honor or award, would you please look at my remarks and see what you think. The only one she never let me read was when she received the Dean's Lifetime Achievement Award from the USF College of Medicine. During her interview, she was asked, when you look back at all the years, achievements, accomplishments that you've had over your lifetime, what would you say was your most profound and the one you were most proud of? Her answer to them, without hesitation, was my daughter, Anila. And to me, that meant all the world. We miss her dearly. I was good till tonight, this evening and this afternoon. When Charles started the video and I heard her voice, that was very difficult. But I know she always said, you are a strong woman. You're going to follow in your parents' footsteps and never forget we're always with you in your heart. I want to thank all of you for coming today and honoring the legacy of my mother and our family. And I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Today, we're here to celebrate an exceptional woman, and I find myself full of gratitude for the opportunity to share a glimpse into my life with Mona Jain, the mother of my heart. Today, we will remember her contributions to the community, to education, to advancing equality for women. But I wanted to celebrate another unique ability, her ability to understand people, to see past the obvious, past the exterior, and understand what was inside and what someone needed. She taught me many things in my life. Her taking me under her wing changed my life forever. Many of you know our story. Mona was one of my teachers at Bayshore High School just a few years ago. And her kindness, her love, her mentorship, it changed my life. Somehow, this innate ability she had to see past what was obvious, she understood that the quiet, honor roll student sitting in the back of the room was actually incredibly lost and needed guidance. I was on my own, living with friends without the help of my parents, and somehow she just knew that. And I didn't realize that her invitation to her lunch bunch with all of the other students she always helped really wasn't about biology. It wasn't about dissection of things. It was her gathering this group of misfits, these kids that she somehow realized needed a little extra help, and she was going to give it to us. It was, looking back now, it was much like an episode of that movie, The Breakfast Club, from all different walks, and yet she assembled us. She challenged me. She was the only person that asked me if I wanted to go to college, and the person who helped me believe that I could. She navigated the complexities of the college application process. I had no idea what the SAT and ACT was, so she helped me study for that. And she also helped me get the scholarships that I needed in order to attend USF, and I'm very proud to be a Bull. She also taught me that public service is noble and it's necessary, that one must serve with integrity and one must hold true to your important values like faith and family. Throughout my life with her, the one thing I treasure probably more than anything is she taught me that God is God, that faith is faith, that no matter what official religion someone comes from, that it really is God. And as we took care of Daddy, and I would help her with the FaceTime because, she wasn't so good about technology. So we would have the FaceTime with people from all over the world that wanted to pray in their way for him and for her. And that really drove home that point, and I'm so grateful for that. When Mona called, you answered. And you knew that you were absolutely going to have an opportunity to help with whatever her latest endeavor was. And not only was it going to help you feel more fulfilled, but you were going to be a better person because of her asking you to take part in whatever the newest project was. Of all the lessons and inspiration that she passed on, I love gratitude. She was grateful every day, no matter what life brought her, whether it was positive, whether it was negative, she was always grateful and believed that honor was everything. She valued character most of all, and she looked for the good in most people, and she always managed to find it. I might not see it, but she found good in everyone. In closing, I want to say how humbled I am by Anila's strength, her ability to focus on a lifetime of amazing memories with mom and dad and not focus on what we've lost. So thank you, sis, for that. So we celebrate today a life lived with boundless love, unwavering grace, and unparalleled impact. Mona's legacy is each and every one of us here today. So now I have the pleasure to introduce our USF President Emeritus, Judy Genship.
Well, when I was asked to speak, I thought, oh my gosh, this is such an honor. But the very first day as a new president in year 2000, I wanted to see all of the leadership of all of the campuses, wherever and so I met with them on the very first day. Well, part of the leadership was Mona Jain. And we met at, I think they were, I don't know, but we ended up meeting at the Vinoy. And there I began to realize and understand the integrity and the impact that this person had, not only in her community, but elsewhere also. So, as was described, when you actually read about her educational process, 2 degrees undergraduate, and then a master's, and then a specialist, education specialist, and then a PhD, and also an MD. Ooh. But she was always, always, always very proud of USF, and we struck a bond right away. Her family would say many of the same things, maybe in a different way, but many of the same things that my family said. Education can never be taken away from you. Money has wings and it can fly away, but always, always, always know that your education comes first. And then you have to help others. If you don't help one another, who's going to help you when you need it most? And it's help, whether it's volunteer, it doesn't matter, but give back, give back. That really is important. And what you say, you mean. You don't go back on your own word, which is the integrity that you were talking about as well. So at that young age, to be as bright and as phenomenal as Mona is and was, the fact that she got a Fulbright to come to Sarasota, and the other part that really is important is that her husband always supported her and never seemed threatened. He had his own career, and as a leader and as a passionate person, it doesn't matter. You do need that kind of support to do all the things that she was able to accomplish. So it was just my pleasure and honor to know the whole family to know her in particular, and she was always positive. What kind of a leader is better than one that means it, says it, buys into it, passionate, but never, ever, ever gives up, and has a really positive attitude because everybody around you is shaking in their boots. And she was always calm and she was always smiling. She was strict, but she was caring. And that you can feel as a student, as a colleague, you can trust what she says because she doesn't say things unless she means it. And throughout the years that I was fortunate to be president, and well, right now I think I'm working as hard, but I'm not being paid. But you know what? It's all good. It's all good. And like that, you want the best for all around you. And with her and the family, they've made a difference. They've made a positive difference. And for that, we will always, always treasure Mona Jain.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill McCausland. I have the honor and privilege of leading the USF Alumni Association. And as obviously we're here today to celebrate the remarkable life of a wonderful woman, a wonderful mother and wife and daughter, a true pioneer whose legacy is really written in the annals of education. There's a lot to cover today. We could be here for a long time talking about Mona, and I'm going to focus on some of her educational accomplishments and also the impact that she's had on USF and her love for USF. Now, Mona was one of the first alums that I met when I started back in 2012. Well, actually, it was Anila was one of the first ones, and that's how I met her parents, but it was one of the first ones. And I knew of her accomplishments, and I'm not always comfortable around teachers, and not especially someone so accomplished. You see, when I was in school, I was a bit of a class clown, and I wasn't the greatest of students. But Mona was so warm and so welcoming to me, and she made me really feel appreciated, even back then when I first met her. And I think I attribute that to two things. One is she's a wonderful person who liked to learn and meet new people and learn about them, and she was genuinely interested. And secondly, and maybe even more so, it's because I was affiliated with USF. I was a Bull, and she certainly had a great deal of pride in that. You see, at the risk of stating the obvious, Mona USF was such an important part of her life as it was for her husband, Kalesh, and of course, their wonderful daughter, Anila. Now, Mona's academic pursuits knew no bounds, and that is really an understatement when you think about it. And we've heard from Judy and from Anila today about her academic accomplishments. I mean, 6 degrees from 5 higher education institutions, including her 2 bachelor's degrees. And her first one, and you heard she got it when she was 18 years old. Of course, it was in chemistry and physics, so it wasn't even an easy curriculum. I mean, you talk about an overachiever, but she got the master's degree, she got the education specialist degree, a doctor of medicine, and a PhD. And as you heard from Judy, she was a Fulbright scholar, which brought her here to Sarasota 60 years ago. But while she had degrees from 5 different universities, it really was USF and the green and gold that had that special place in her hearts. And it was in her heart and in the heart of her family. They started getting involved, Mona and Kalesh started getting involved with USF when Anila was a student, just a few short years ago. They started with a $100 gift to the Century Club. They became Century Club members, and so they started getting involved that way. Then Joe Tomeno, who was my predecessor, was the executive director at that time, asked 20 alumni to fund the first named scholarships in 1984. And Mona and Kalesh stepped up and did so. And they did so with a $10,000 gift, which is certainly a lot of money in 1984. It certainly is a lot of money today even. But they believed in that, and they believed in that as a way to give back and to support the University of South Florida. They have endowed numerous scholarships and numerous legacy gifts to different USF initiatives, including STEM programs, Women in Leadership and Philanthropy, the Alumni Association, of course, the Sarasota Manatee, USF Sarasota Manatee, Brunch in the Bay, where Mona was a co-chair of Brunch in the Bay, USF Athletics, scholarships for first-generation students. Heck, even Mona and Kalesh, even on one of their many trips, used to send in "Where's Rocky's" photos for the USF magazine. I mean, you talk about all in on USF, they were all in, and Mona certainly loved this great university. Another understatement is she certainly was a trailblazer in the fields of science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And if you think about it, in an era where women were very scarce in STEM programming and STEM education, but she fearlessly taught biological sciences and health science and physical science, and taught Diana in those classes in schools across Sarasota and Manatee counties. Mona graduated from USF with her PhD in interdisciplinary education in 1984. And it was a short 17 years later that her unwavering commitment to education and her unparalleled accomplishments were recognized by the University of South Florida with the Distinguished Alumni Award. This is the award that is the highest honor that our university bestows to its alumni. Out of our 400,000 plus alumni that we've had, only 101 people who have ever received that award, and Mona was one of them. Of course, she received it years after Anila Jain also received it. Her wonderful daughter received it. And best I can tell, Anila, I think you are the only two family members who have received the Distinguished Alumni Award from the university. But what a great testament and a great recognition of someone who has given so much and done so much in the fields of education. She also received the College of Education Dean's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2020. But it wasn't the awards and the recognition that Mona was after. It was all about the students. It was always about the students of all ages. And students remember her as a source of encouragement. Again, I think you heard that so eloquently stated by Diana, one of her students, who inspired them to reach their highest academic potential. I have a quote from Mona and her mom that I'll read. In fact, as I listened to Judy talk about education and how you can't take that away from you, it rings true with this quote from Mona. Now, if you close your eyes, you probably know she said this because I certainly don't look like Mona and my voice doesn't sound like her. But she said, "My mom always said, stand on your 2 feet. Get an education because no one can snatch an education from you. No one can steal it. The more you give, the more it grows." Definitely Mona Jain. And I think of the thousands, probably tens of thousands of students whose lives were enriched by Mona. And I know the world is a better place for that. In 2019, the school district of Manatee County paid a tribute to Mona's indelible impact that she has had on education by naming the Dr. Mona Jain Middle School in her honor. By the way, and Neil and Bill, you can't answer this, does anyone know the mascot of the Dr. Mona Jain Middle School? It is the Bulls. That is absolutely right. What else would it be, right? Once again, Mona's love for the University of South Florida continues on at the middle school. But I was honored to attend that dedication. And I was watching Mona throughout the ceremony, and she was aglow. And her eyes lit up when they were talking about what impact this school would have on students. And her eyes even got brighter when students were involved with the program. And I was watching her, and it was just amazing, just the glow and the pride that she had, and primarily because of the students that were going to be impacted by this school. Now, my mother was a teacher for 50 years. And so I know what a genuine, heartfelt love of education and students look like. This is something you can't fake. You either have it or you don't. It's in your DNA. And every time I saw Mona, and especially that day at the dedication of her middle school, I could see it in her. I could see that genuine love that she has. So as we celebrate Mona Jain today, let us remember her not only for her accomplishments, but for the lives she's touched. All of us have been touched by her, by the mind she nurtured and the future she shaped. Her love of children, her love of students, her love of education was unwavering and everlasting. And we celebrate a life well lived, a life that continues to inspire so many people for generations to come. So God bless you, and thank you, Mona Jain, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'd like to now introduce India Whitty. India, come on up, please.
Hello, how are you all today? My name is India Whitty, and like Bill, I've had the pleasure of serving in a variety of leadership roles at the University of South Florida since 1999. And as you can imagine, Dr. Mona Jain is an integral part of my USF story, as with many, many, many other women in the USF and other orbits. And I'm just so honored that Anila asked me to speak today and celebrate the remarkable impact of her extraordinary mother on the lives of women and the advancement of women's causes. Now and forever, Mona stands as a beacon of inspiration, a force dedicated to empowering and uplifting women in our community and beyond. I first came to know of the lady, the legend, Dr. Mona Jain, by reputation when I was a college student at another inferior state university in the early 1990s. After a successful tenure chairing the Manatee County Commission on the Status of Women, Mona took our capital city of Tallahassee by storm as she emerged as the go-to volunteer leader for then Governor Lawton Chiles, who appointed her in 1991 to the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, and in 1996 to the Governor's Commission on Education. She served a remarkable 4 terms on the Commission on the Status of Women, reappointed by Governor Chiles in 1993, with subsequent reappointments by Senate Presidents John McKay and Tom Lee in 2002 and 2006, respectively. She was also the inaugural chair of the Florida Commission on the Status of Women Foundation Board. And as Diana said, when Mona asks you to do something, you do it. And I was honored to serve on that foundation board for a number of years under Mona's leadership. It was truly a pleasure. Due to the legislative session's calendar, a fellow longtime Florida Commission on the Status of Women member from the 1990s and longtime friend, Florida Senate President Kathleen Passidomo, was not able to attend today's celebration of her dear friend Mona, but she sends her deepest regards and shared the following sentiments. And this is quoting her. I have had the privilege of knowing Dr. Jain, both personally and professionally, for over 30 years. Her passion for education in Florida over the years has made a substantial impact on students, colleagues, families, and the citizens of our state. Dr. Jain's commitment to education is matched only by her commitment to public service. Throughout her career, Mona worked tirelessly with numerous local, state, federal, and international public and nonprofit organizations to improve the health, education, and lives of the citizens of Florida. The many initiatives Mona has undertaken throughout her long career in education and public service have made a significant impact on the people of Florida that will be felt for years to come. And Anila asked me to read, and so I hope you guys don't get tired of me. Anila asked me to read another statement from her sisters in the Suncoast Commission on the Status of Women. So I am reading on their behalf now as well. And I'm going to have to put my readers on because the font's smaller. The Suncoast Commission on the Status of Women is grateful for the mentorship and affiliation of Dr. Mona Jain for more than 20 years. The Sarasota CSW began as an advisory commission to Sarasota County government. We partnered with the Manatee CSW, where she was one of the founding members, on Women's Equity Day events, advocated for various disability rights, worked for women in the jail, and maternal health services through the health department. With Mona's help and connections with other nonprofits and the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, where she served as chair, the SCSW hosted the National Conference of Women's Commissions in Sarasota. We expanded to become the Suncoast CSW and now cover Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte, Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties. Mona was invaluable in connecting us with mayors and state legislators and congresspeople. Mona has not only been an extraordinary advocate for women and girls, but also an extraordinary example of a woman, wife, mother, and friend who overcame obstacles and challenges in her own life and always offered good advice. May her memory be a blessing, and may all our good memories of Mona be a comfort to her family and friends now and the future. As a tribute to Mona and her legacy, the SCSW will have a dove released after the program outside. That's very lovely. Nice. Okay, so on behalf of them, that statement. This might be a little redundant after that statement, but throughout her illustrious career, Dr. Jain tirelessly championed access and equity of all, especially the cause of women's rights, breaking barriers and paving the way for countless others. As a pioneering figure in her field, she has not only shattered glass ceilings, but has also extended a helping hand for those that followed her. You climb, you turn, and you lift, and she certainly exemplified that. Mona's commitment to and absolute love for education is a central part of her legacy. She was a medical doctor, a recipient of the aforementioned 6 degrees, and the one, of course, we're most proud of is her doctorate in interdisciplinary education and leadership from USF. Go Bulls. Together with her daughter, Anila, Mona helped lead initiatives at USF Sarasota Manatee to promote many programs, including a very impactful Women in STEM initiative. She was also a founding member and driver for the establishment of USF's Women in Leadership and Philanthropy organization, which will soon celebrate 20 years of influence and impact. And it was my pleasure as executive director to work hand in hand with her and Anila for 8 years in that capacity. And that was personally extremely shaping and impactful for me and for numerous female faculty members and female students at the university. So thank you. Through her advocacy and mentorship, she has inspired countless young women to pursue their dreams in academia and beyond. Her belief in the transformative power of education has sparkled a ripple effect, creating truly generations of empowered and confident women ready to take on the world. In addition to her contributions to women's education, Dr. Jain has been an unwavering advocate for women's health, and I think this is something that not everybody truly appreciates. Her work in promoting awareness, access to health care, and breaking down stigma surrounding women's health issues has been nothing short of transformative. Her dedication to ensuring that women have the resources and support that they need is a testament to her compassionate and forward-thinking approach. Her tireless efforts have not only brought about positive change, but have also ignited a sense of unity among diverse groups, fostering an environment where women's voices are heard and valued. As we honor Mona today, let us all reflect on the profound impact she has had on the lives of countless women, but also on ourselves. Her legacy is not only one of professional success, but also of compassion, of resilience, and of a relentless pursuit of equality. Dr. Jain's contributions have left an indelible mark on our community and on our hearts, reminding us all of the importance of standing up for women's rights and everyone's rights, and creating a more inclusive and equitable world for future generations. Again, I'm very grateful, Anila, for this opportunity to speak about your dear, dear mother and her amazing legacy in this community. Thank you all. And now I'd like to introduce Levi McIntyre.
Anelia, thank you for the opportunity for me to take you on my journey with Mona, my friend, my mentor, my colleague, and my classmate. So let me start at the very end. It was Valentine's Day last year that Mona, Bill, Diana, Anelia, and I, we met at a restaurant in Sarasota to celebrate Valentine's Day. We had good conversation, as we always do. We talked about our trip that we planned to go to Greece in the summer. And at the end of our conversation and our fellowship together, we said our goodbyes. And then I came outside, and Mona and I was standing there while Anelia get the car to take Mona home. And I said to Mona, I'll see you when you get back, because I know Mona was going to India to take the ashes of Mr. Jain home. But little did I know that was the last meal that I was going to have with Mona. Little did I know that I was not going to see Mona again. There was no coming back. So I ponder, how do I say goodbye to a friend? How do I say goodbye to my mentor? How do I say goodbye to my colleague? How do I say goodbye to my classmate of approximately 43 years? So again, Anelia, I want to thank you for the opportunity to express what Mona meant to Diana and me. So let me start at the very beginning. It was 1979 that I left Los Angeles, California, and took a job at Bayshore High School as a biology teacher. Mona was already on board. I knew no one in Manatee County. I knew no one at Bayshore High School. It was an adventure for me. Mona was my friend and my colleague at that time. She mentored me. She let me understand the culture of Bayshore High School. We taught next door to each other. We took our students on joint field trips together. And Mona, if you know Mona, Mona got me involved in so many different things. She got me involved in different committees. And one of the committees that Mona got me involved with was the SACS committee, the Southern Association of Schools and Colleges Committee, where we would go to Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and we evaluate the science programs of those schools and write the report for the SACS. A true test of Mona's friendship came very early. When I said to Mona, Mona, I'm trying to find an apartment here in Bradenton, but I'm having much difficulty finding an apartment. I was then living in Sun City. There was no 75. All we had to drive on 41. And so we saw an advertisement in the Bradenton Herald. And so Mona and I, we looked at it, and so we called up the landlord, and the landlord said it was available for me to come and take a look at it. So I was going to use my non-teaching period to go look at the apartment. And if I were late getting back, Mona would take my class until I get back. When I returned, Mona asked me, how was the apartment? How did I like it? I said to Mona, it's rented as customary. So Mona was curious. She said, but we just called on it. It was not even 10 minutes ago. So how could it be rented? So she said, Levi, I'm going to check on something. So Mona got one of her Caucasian friends to go check on the apartment. Lo and behold, it was still available for rent. So with this new information, I contacted the landlord and I said, look, I'm going to file a discrimination complaint. The landlord was very apologetic and said, okay, no, you can have it, etc. I didn't take it. But this showed the true strength of Mona, to stand out for a friend, to make sure that I was treated fairly and equally. Mona meant a lot to me. I said to Mona many times, I said, look, Mona, I think I'm going to have to go back to California. Mona encouraged me. Mona mentored me and said, look, Levi, hang in there. Through Mona's encouragement, I stayed at Bayshore. And then I met my wife, Dinah. Without Mona's encouragement, I would not have stayed at Bayshore. I would not have met my wife, and I don't know what trajectory my life would have taken. So I want to say thank you, Mona, for your encouragement. Thank you for your mentorship, because I met my wife there. So when we got married in 1981, Mona, Kalash, Joe Gilpin, God bless his soul, and Kathy Gilpin, they all went into the Panhandle here in Manatee County, and they were sitting in the church as a part of my family. As I said, I have no family around here. And I became a part of Mona's family, and Mona was a part of my family. Mona believed in excellence, not only for others, but for herself. So Mona turned to me and she said, Levi, let's go work on our doctorate. I said, okay, Mona, we'll do it. And so Mona and I enrolled at USF. And so we started carpooling. And for 3 years, we carpooled after school. When Mona drives, she dropped me at home. When I drive, Diana drives Mona car to the home. And then when I get back, Mona would then drive home. And we did that for over 3 years together. Mona and I laugh about this many times. I had to take a class for my program that Mona didn't have to take. And the class was offered in LaBelle, near Fort Myers. So the last day of my class, I was driving home and I was very happy. It was about 10 o'clock in the evening. I was coming home, and then suddenly the light behind me, I got pulled over. And I got a very expensive ticket. And Mona says, Levi, if I were with you, I know you would not have gotten the ticket. And I said, Mona, true. Because for all the time when we're driving, and if I'm driving a little bit fast, Mona would just say, Levi, don't you think you're going a little bit fast? And when Mona said, don't you think you're going a little bit fast, I know to slow down. And in fact, I would not have gotten the ticket. So Mona is one of those individuals who know to obey the rules. And she made sure that I obey the rules. When Mona defended her dissertation, I was there to celebrate with Mona. When I defended my dissertation, Mona was there to celebrate with me. After we graduated, I said to Mona, Mona, I'm looking for upward mobility. And this is not happening here in Manatee County. So I decided to apply for a job elsewhere. And I told Mona I got a job at Bellport on Long Island, New York. Again, I knew no one on Long Island, so Diana and I decided to go. So while we were on Long Island, we always kept in touch with Mona. And every holiday we always back here, and we would either meet at the store or we'd meet at Mona's home, and we always celebrate together. I called Mona up in 2002, and I said to Mona, we're looking for another house. We're going to buy a house here in Brandon. So I want you to go ahead and look at communities that you think you want me to live in. And Mona said, Levi, what are you looking for? And I said, Mona, you know my taste. So Mona selected for us 3 communities. She selected the River Club, her community. She selected Mill Creek, and she selected Lakewood Ranch. So Diana and I came down, and we looked at the homes in all 3 communities that Mona had selected for us. And we purchased in Mill Creek. We are still living in Mill Creek today through that connection that Mona did for us. After retiring in New York from the principalship and the superintendentship there of the largest school district on Long Island, we decided to come right back here in Bradenton. And Mona was part of that connection. Mona would call me up many times and said, Levi, this is going on at USF, and this may be happening with the retired education associations here. Different thing Mona called me upon. And I would just turn and said, Mona, what time you want me to pick you up? And that was because Mona knows that we're going to go anywhere, okay? And so you can feel my pain losing Mona. Because Mona's loss is a personal loss for Diana and me. And every time we are driving home and we're driving on 70 and we pass by the River Club, the entrance, we always say, this is Mona's entrance. And so I just want the angels to take Mona a message to let Mona know how much we miss her. And at this time, I'm saying goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my mentor. Goodbye, my colleague. Goodbye, my classmate. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raminder Sethi. I'm Dr. Mona Jain's nephew. She was my father's younger sister. I was here on this very podium few months back talking about my life experiences with Kailash uncle, and here I am back again to celebrate the wonderful memories of a woman always ahead of her time, Dr. Mona Jain. I do not know how many of you have watched Bollywood movies. That's the name given to Indian cinema. My wife, Mini Sethi, here is an ardent movie buff, and even she agreed what we all witnessed was equivalent to a Bollywood movie. To marry the love of your life from another faith in the 1950s, to getting married in a temple secretly in the 1950s without telling anyone and merely going back to your respective homes as if nothing happened, and then the very priest of that temple, where your now father in law is a trustee, telling him, your son just got married here in the afternoon. Could there be a bigger movie plot? Yes, there is one more at the end of their respective journeys on this planet. Folks close to the family are aware after Kailash uncle passed away, his partial remains were immersed in the Atlantic Ocean as a mark of respect to the country he settled in that gave him so much, our very own USA. And partial remains were kept to be immersed in India, the country where he was born, and again, he loved so much. Just a day after immersing his remaining ashes in the holy Ganges river in India, Dr. Meena Jain passes away peacefully as if she was just waiting to complete her final duty, or let me say, the final act of this movie. I am sure you would now agree this fits both Hollywood and Bollywood scripts combined. From traveling alone to the US in the 1960s, proudly donning her Indian attire, to completing double doctorate, both medical and PhD, to making her mark by serving the local community, to having her name written on a school wall, she accomplished a lot in one lifetime that most of us would only aspire to be. So here's cheers to woman power, cheers to Dr. Mona Jain, and special cheers to my cousin here, Dr. Anila Jain, for taking the family legacy forward. Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Mini Sethi. I'm Raminder's wife here. I would call her Buaji, Mona Jain. Now, I don't write speeches. I don't read from a script. This is just heartfelt. We both are representing the Sethi family, her maternal side, her brother was my father-in-law. We lost him in October. And she was dear to me. She was dear to everyone. I mean, you've heard it all. I don't have much to add to that. I can only reiterate. She was a strong person. We had a special bond together. We went to same school. We went to same school in Delhi University. She graduated at the age of 18 years from Hindu College. I went to Hindu College. And then she did her bachelor's in education from the institute. I also graduated from there. And then on top of that, we taught in the same school, of course, generations apart. Now, interestingly, just a little bit of history here. The Britishers left India in 1947. When Dr. Mona Jain started teaching, this was a time when our education system was totally Brit, highly bureaucratic. The leaders of the nation were carving our history at that time, and education was big. Education was very big, especially English education. So Dr. Mona Jain started working in DPS at that time, and just imagine, I think I'm assuming she'd be in her late 20s. This beautiful, gorgeous woman, very presentable, well-spoken, starts working, and she was actually given extra responsibilities, and one of the responsibilities was admissions. She was given the responsibility to admit new students. And as I mentioned, the leaders, the political leaders of the country were carving our destination. So they had this special space. They had a special niche in the society. So everybody wanted their kids to go to DPS. That was a school that she was teaching, and she was responsible for the admissions of students. So this is one of her favorite incidents from the school. She says that she was responsible, and everybody had to take turn coming in to introduce themselves. They would bring in their children, and Dr. Mona Jain would ask them questions and everything. So she's inside in her office, and somebody comes in and tells her, oh, there's a minister waiting for you. The minister wants their son in the school, admitted in the school. So this minister, because he's a politician and he has a special place in the society, is getting anxious. He's like, I cannot wait. So Dr. Mona Jain says, tell him to wait at the end of the line. He will have to take his turn. Now just imagine a 20-something sitting in her office, telling this very important person to wait in line. His turn will come when everybody's turn is over. So this haggled, hassled minister comes in and says, do you know who I am? And she turns around to him and says, do you know who I am? So she was always strong. Her strength, whether it was education, whether it was her emphasis on family, her emphasis on everyone's happiness, her love for her husband, cannot emphasize enough on that. I mean, the qualities that she had, even if one iota of what she was, if we strive ourselves to become, we would all be in a better place. That's all I have to say. I do have to tell you that my mother-in-law, especially here, my father-in-law, of course, is in heaven with his sister, but my mother-in-law is here to pay special respects today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Jain. I'm the niece of Kailash and Mona Jain. I knew them as Kailash Tauji and Mona Taiji, which is what you'll hear me say today during the speech. These are terms of respect in Hindi for the father's older brother and his wife.
Good afternoon. I am Abhi Jain, nephew of Kailash and Mona Jain. We're the children of Kamesh and Sheila Jain. Our father, Kamesh, was actually Kailash Jain's younger brother. It is sad that we're gathered here again just a little over a year later. Our uncle, an amazing soul, moved on from this world nearly 2 years ago, and his soulmate, our admirable aunt, followed him soon after, not even a year having passed. They had blazed a trail of love in their life, as has been said, but could not wait to be together again for eternity in God's house. This is too much of a burden to bear for most. However, if anyone can bear this burden, it is our dear cousin sister, Dr. Anila Jain. And that is because Anila Jain is her mother's daughter. Mona Taiji was a paragon of strength, resolve, and leadership. It is an incredible honor for us to stand here today and commemorate the life and achievements of this impressive personality, who lived not for herself, but for the betterment of her family and community. This extraordinary woman dedicated her life to the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of others. Mona Taiji understood the power of giving back. As a pioneer in education, she broke down barriers and championed access to learning for all. Her passion for education knew no bounds, as many have said right now, and she worked tirelessly to empower students to reach their fullest potential. She believed that every child, no matter where they came from, deserved a quality education. As has been said, her impact on education was so profound that Dr. Mona Jain STEM Middle School was named in her honor, testament to her enduring influence on future generations.
She was a mentor, a role model, and a friend to countless women who looked up to her for guidance and inspiration. Her kindness, empathy, and unwavering support uplifted those around her, empowering them to strive for greatness in their own lives. Yet no matter how busy she was, Mona Taiji always made time for family. She was generous and warm and so insightful. I have such vivid memories of my time with her. A whole day spent exploring Longboat Key together, sitting in the living room watching Indian singing shows, talking with her about her early experiences in India and Florida, and being in absolute awe at her unabashed courage and grit in creating the life she knew she deserved. I admired her presence, how she could command a room and cut through the noise to say the exact thing that needed to be said. She spoke with intention, and when she did, everyone listened. Taiji was a woman who stood tall in character, her spirit a tapestry woven with threads from two worlds. Always draped in the elegance of a sari or salwar kameez, she wore her heritage with pride. She artfully balanced her American identity with her Indian upbringing, never compromising one for the other, and she was always, always there for her family and friends, and always provided a listening ear for anyone who needed it. Her words carried the weight of experience and the warmth of compassion.
One of my favorite memories of Mona Taiji is when we accompanied her while she drove from place to place, dropping off books, food, and supplies for others. The happiness and relief that I saw on some faces that day actually stay with me today and inform how I approach my life in my community. But perhaps her greatest legacy lies in her daughter. Crafted in the image of her parents, combining their strengths, and as any parent would want, greater than the sum of even those impressive parts. Mona Taiji and Anila Didi are remarkable role models. Their commitment and fortitude serving as examples for all to follow, whether my 12-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old son, or myself. I won't tell you how old I am. Dr. Mona Jain.
Mona Taiji embodied a quiet strength, her accomplishments speaking louder than words ever could. Her legacy remains not only in monuments of stone and in pages of books, but in the lives of so many she touched, having left the world a better place than she found it. I'm so grateful for the time I had with her. She was a wonderful aunt and a role model to me. I will always cherish the memories we shared. Thank you all so much for coming here today to celebrate her life. She was a true inspiration to everyone who knew her, and she'll be deeply missed.
Dr. Mona Jain came to the Sunshine State, and she shone brighter than the sun. Thank you.
Oh, and we're going to pass the mic over to Susanna and Brittany for Lita now. Thank you.
Oh, yes. I'm supposed to introduce Sunshine, my wife, over there.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ferlita, and this is my mom, Suzanne. I'm one of Ann and Anila's nieces. So the first candle represents our grief. The pain of losing you is intense. It reminds us of the depth of our love for you. The second candle represents our courage to confront our sorrow, to confront each other, to change our lives. This third candle we light in your memory, for the times we laughed, the times we cried, the caring and joy you gave us. This fourth candle we light for our love. We light this candle that your light will always shine.
I met Anila when she pledged Kappa Delta sorority back in 19-something or other. She introduced my husband, Frank, and me to her parents a few years later, and we felt like we were immediately made part of their family. Mona always lit up a room just like the flames of these four candles. She was so warm and inviting and made you feel so welcome in her home. Frank and I spent many evenings at the Jain house for various occasions or just a nice lunch or dinner. Our daughters, Lauren and Brittany, loved going to the Jains with us too. They were doted on and spoiled by their Aunt Anila, and, as Brittany called them, her Indian parents, or grandparents. I remember one time Mona took out some of her beautiful saris and dressed both girls up. She pulled out colorful bangle bracelets that she let them wear and then take home. They enjoyed it so much. Over the years, we traveled quite a bit with Anil and her parents. I will always cherish my memories of those amazing adventures. I'm sure that Mona, Kailash, and Frank are together now and reminiscing about all the fun times that we had over the years. We are blessed to have Mona and Kailash in our lives, and I'm so very blessed to have Anila as my dear friend and sister.
We cherish we cherish this special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. We thank you for the gift your living brought to each of us. We love you and we remember you.
Namaste, everybody. My name is Rima Mathur. We called her Jain Auntie. She was not related by blood, but she was completely related to us, just like we all feel here. What can I say about her that hasn't been said already? She was an inspiration in every single way, every single walk of the life. I do want to mention a couple of things that we all probably have noticed. If you've been to her home, she loved, besides Anila, besides Uncle and me, she loved a couple of things that you may have noticed. One of them was roses. She had roses all around the house in different forms, shapes, prints, colors. And as we know that roses, they symbolize love, royalty, beauty, achievement, and perfection. And of course, their fragrance is just distinct. We know that it's roses, and that's exactly how Jain Auntie was. The other thing that she enjoyed collecting was peacocks. If you have noticed peacocks all around her home, and which again, they are associated with patience, kindness, compassion, power, strength, and knowledge. And that's exactly how we know what Jain Auntie was for us. She led by example, and she will always be our guide. And we want to thank you, Auntie. You meant a lot to us. You mean a lot to us. And we are just happy to know that we meant a lot to you as well. Thank you.
My name is Raj, and I met Mrs. Jain and Mr. Jain in 1987. And as most of you know, once you meet them, you become part of the family. They always treated us like the family. She called me her nephew. She always introduced me to people, not as a friend, but as a family member. And that's how the Jain family has always been. And the legacy that she leaves behind, that it doesn't happen just by accident. It's once in a while people come to this world and they influence you when they are around you, but they leave the influence for much, much longer, even after they are gone. And I truly feel that her influence, her guidance will be with us forever. And it's our obligation to pass it on and to the next generation, because she always felt like, I'm doing my task, but then you guys need to take over and continue the path that she took us on. The thing that stands out the most, that she always made us do the right thing. There will be time when we would be slacking on something and she would not settle for that. I heard the term excellence, the things of that nature today. And she would always hold your feet to the fire. She'll make you do it. and there were times when she would ask us to do something. Mr. Jain and I used to indulge in Saturday evening liquid meditation every now and then.
And so she would ask me something. By Monday morning, I probably would have forgotten. And Monday afternoon, I would get a phone call. And as most of you know, Diana said, when you get a call from her, you answer the call. And most of the time, my first reaction was, oh, what I do wrong now? Sorry, Auntie, she's saying, Raz, there are kids in the room. Sorry, Mom. I can hear her say that. So, but no, that's just that she had that amazing aura that she would make you do the right thing. She would give you the directions and then lead you to that and say, you need to follow up. And that's something, a lot to be said about someone like that. And one of the biggest influence I feel she has left with us is get involved, find your passion, give back to the community that has given you so much. We are very fortunate, and we need to go back and return, pay forward, and whether it's through the USF, through the students, through the Manatee County, and it just her sheer presence, her way of asking you to do things will make you do it, and I heard the terms dignity, courage, and those were all the things. She would do it with I don't know if anything scared her. She was just worked tirelessly. She would write for pages and pages, and when Mr. Jain wasn't feeling well for years and years, she would just her back be bothering, but she would be sitting in a chair for 8 to 10 hours just by him. And those are the images that she has left us with. And she has left us with a lot of work to do, and we need to continue on her path and the task that she has assigned to us. As all of you know, you've been around her, you're part of her family, and her big thing was obviously the hospitality. And she did discriminate with, and she always give gifts to women, not to men, as well, most men know that whether it's the purses, whether it's clothes, and just to carry on, and like I said, I feel part of the family. I'm the family. So on behalf of our family, we really thank everyone for being here today. And just the way she would like this celebration to continue, please don't leave, mingle, and there are refreshments, so enjoy the refreshments and the camaraderie. And also be sure to collect a memento. She has left a lot of gifts for ladies again to take with you. And so once again, thank you, Anila, and thank you everyone for being here this afternoon.